LT, another Chargers training camp, but I've got to start with what's been the top buzz here is a player who's not here, Joey Bosa. Now, you've had affiliation somewhat with CAA, but you're also a San Diego Charger. Where do you come? Where do you think of this Bosa Chargers stalemate?
Well, at the end of the day, the agent works for the player, and at some point, if you want to play, then you got to have a conversation with your agent just to kind of get an idea of how long this can drag out, and to be realistic about when can I expect to play. I mean, you're a football player, right? And you want to be out there with your guys. You want to play, and I don't care what anybody says. At some point, if you don't show up, you're going to alienate yourself from your teammates because these guys are dependent on you. And right now, what's happening is they're building chemistry without you. And that's never good because, a player can disturb the chemistry of a group. Let's say the defensive line has a good chemistry going. They got a good rotation. And Bosa comes and then he messed that chemistry up. That could be a problem.
Your buddy Kirk Morrison came on the show this week and said that he misses even one more week of camp. He can kiss his rookie season goodbye because there's too much catching up to do. Sean Merriman talked about his own situation, and it took him a while to get his body and the football skills caught up. How much more time, and can Joey Bosa be effective if he misses much more time?
No, honestly, those guys are right. It gets harder and harder to acclimate to the NFL game with you missing time. This is the time where you're supposed to get acclimated to the system, to the speed of the game in training camp, because you get to work out a lot of the nuances that you're learning on defense and, your new role and what's expected of you. It's hard to do that during the season because now we're game planning. In the season, it's it's all about game planning for a specific team, and it's no longer about the individual persons per se. In training camp, you can take your time to really focus on the individual player and technique and fundamentals. But when the season starts, it's hard to do that. I mean, the games come fast, and you got to be ready to go.
As one of the greatest Chargers of all time, what advice would you give Joey Bosa at this point? Because his teammates here have said, we know he wants to be here, yet it's been 10 practices he's missed now.
Well, and that would be my advice: is you want to be here, you gotta step up and say something to your agent. You got to be the man in that relationship to say, hey, I'm a football player, and at the end of the day, this is my job to play. I understand your job is to give me as much money as possible, but at the end of the day, we are getting as much money as we can possibly get. What we're fighting over is truly something that can be avoided. It really can. But at the end of the day, it's what Joey wants to do. If he wants to be here, then he can make it happen.
We'll talk about the Chargers that are here. Now, one of Philip Rivers' greatest years with the Chargers was when he had a great running game, when he had LaDainian Tomlinson. What are you seeing from Melvin Gordon, and what has to happen for him to go ahead and be effective?
Well, Melvin just needs to gain some confidence. He needs to understand who he is as a runner. And sometimes that's confusing as a young runner. You come into the National Football League and you hear what you're expected to be, and sometimes that don't match who you are as a runner, and so you're trying to change your game a little bit to cater to maybe some other people, or maybe cater to the perception that you're trying to, give out or give off from the coaches and expectations of you. But at the end of the day, you have to be confident of who you are as a runner. If you're a power guy with speed, then be a power guy with speed. That's who you are, and don't change that.
What do you see as the biggest strength of this Chargers team? What do you see as the biggest weakness of this Chargers team?
I think the biggest strength, obviously, is the skill position. Keenan Allen, Antonio Gates, Philip Rivers, and that plethora of running backs that they have, the three guys back there that they can play with. And then, maybe, one of the things that you can possibly say is a weakness is just the offensive line, if they can come together and gel. The good thing is most of those guys were here last year. Now, adding Matt Slauson at the center position, how quickly will that group gel? The center is the most important position on that line of scrimmage because he communicates with everyone. So how quickly they gel will depend on what I think is how fast they can come together and win games.
Last thing I'll ask you, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, the way you told me to the Oakland Raiders and what they've done with the drafts and in free agency, are the Oakland Raiders a team to beat in the AFC West this season?
I don't know. They're close. They're close, but I still think it's Kansas City.
Wow.
Kansas City has the experience, and obviously Denver. They're the defending champions, but I really believe they will take a step back. You can't lose your top two quarterbacks and not take a step back. It's just not possible. But I think Kansas City has the experience. They're right there in terms of having enough experience and young guys and coaching staff who's been in the playoffs, the last couple of years and understand what it takes to win. That's the advantage I think they might have on the Oakland Raiders.
Thanks so much, LT. Enjoy it as always.
All right, thanks, Marty.